what I would love to start with is first, why did you start playing ukulele on stream? Why was that the thing that you did? And then two, we'll shift over into talking about taco. And then I've got a couple other questions. So if you want to just go ahead and lean into that.
Um, I grew up with parents in ministry. Um, got into computers in college. Got married, raised kids. Was kind of disconnected from the church, and then God just gradually brought me back. That's a whole long story, a whole separate thing. How I got into the ukulele, how I ended up as a worship leader at a very small church. But at the same time, my family is my husband and boys are gamers, and we build our own computers and things like that. And also, as a musician, I heard there were musicians on Twitch. So I'm watching Twitch because we're gamers, and I'm watching musicians on Twitch, and I'm leading worship at this tiny church. And I realized there's not Christian music on Twitch at the time, 2020, 2019, 2020. There's not Christian music on Twitch. And after COVID happened, and I'm already got the camera hooked up because I was for just a few months doing it virtually for our church, um, realized like God's telling me, there could be Christian music on Twitch. You just have to turn on the camera. That's not something that I ever really wanted to do. I'm not comfortable in front of a camera normally in real life before this point. A woman of a certain age and a certain size, the camera's not my thing. But I was like, okay, God, I don't know where this is going, but I knew a few other Christians on Twitch, like Pastor Brock, and okay, fine, I can turn on my camera during my morning devotional before I go to work because I work full time in IT. So there's not a whole lot of other time in the day, but before I work, I do a little devotional, and I was practicing the worship songs for Sunday morning. So I said, okay, I can do that, and it just snowballed from there as I met other Christians, especially other Christian content creators on Twitch. The things you were just talking about, that we're all feeling disconnected. We're feeling like our churches don't support us. They don't understand what we're doing. Content creation for our churches is we will just put our sermon online.
Right, right.
And we're like, no, we're actually talking to people. We're actually having conversations with people and connecting with people. And I would see people come into a stream, and they would be telling us, like they lost someone in their life, or they've been feeling a pullback to God, but they're afraid to go back to their church because they were hurt there. And seeing them blossom and renew their faith. Even this morning on my stream, we had somebody who came in who said, I was here before, and I had been resisting praying for years. And somebody on your stream said, I will pray for you. And I just want you to know I've been praying again. And
yeah, I saw that. That was awesome.
it just makes you realize like this is actually impacting people who would not walk into a church. The church can't just wait for people to walk in to
Right.
impact them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's exactly
traditional
what Pastor
churches don't know what
Coco
to
was.
do with that.
Yeah, that's exactly what Pastor Coco was talking about earlier today. I don't know if you caught her on the stream, but she
I
was
did.
talking about how we're not competing with the people that go into the church building. Yeah, we'll have some of them who come in and are supportive and hang out, but a lot of the people we're reaching are not going to walk through the doors of a church anymore. Or they were hurt or watched someone else hurt, and they've never been in the church, and there are barriers that are too big for them to be able to move and go and show up because it's not safe for whatever reason, or they don't perceive it as safe, or they don't perceive it as welcoming. And I have experienced nothing but the opposite when I go to someone's stream. And
Yeah.
you and I have a lot of crossover of people
Yeah.
in our community. And yeah, so that was so fun to be there this morning and see the person saying, here's a life change. But that's also a weird thing that churches don't always experience physically too. A person that shows up, disappears for a couple of months, comes back later because they feel connectedness. Often if a
Right.
person disappears from the church, unless, I live in Michigan, unless they're a snowbird and they go down and visit you for 2-3 months and, in the South, and
Yeah.
then they come
I'm
back
in
in the
Florida.
spring.
We have
Yeah,
snowbirds too. Yeah.
I won't see them again. So,
But even then, the church kind of knows that that's the thing, that's their pattern or whatever.
yeah,
Um, but I started seeing that with other streamers, and then we realized we had some of the same challenges. Whether you're streaming games or worship or Bible study, you have some of those same challenges and events happening that you might go to your church leader and try to talk to them about it, and it's not relatable to them. We needed to support one another. We needed to come together and support one another. And we also saw, some people wanted to share their faith but didn't really have the skills. They maybe didn't have some apologetic skills. They maybe didn't have good leadership skills. They maybe didn't have a good understanding that there would be people who speak a foreign language or who have mental challenges coming into their stream, who genuinely want to connect but do it really awkwardly. And you have to learn how to give them the space to be their awkward self and accept them where they're at, and then bring them into the community. So we
I love what you
realized
just
that,
said there. I don't want to go past that point.
okay.
Accepting them where they are.
Hmm.
Accepting them where they are is so much of the culture that I see on Twitch in Christian streamers, is accepting people right where they are when they show up, no matter what the messiness is. I don't know if
Yeah.
you remember this one. I think you were there modding for me when we had someone who were slurring their words as they were typing. And I'm like, that seems really weird. And then about a half an hour later, they said, oh, BT Dubs, by the way, I'm drunk right now. And it was just the
Yeah.
community loving on them and accept, like, hey, we're glad you are here instead of someplace else, because we know
Right.
you're safe right now because you're in our community.
Right. I mean, if you're gonna make that kind of mistake, you ending up in a Christian community is the best situation,
Yeah,
right? Of all the other dumb things you could be doing right now, you chose to come here and spend some time in worship and Bible study.
yeah,
So yay you, and yay
uh,
God for making that happen, right?
yeah, yeah. Why don't you just touch base on Taco and what Taco is
Mhm.
trying to do, uh, and maybe not so much the formation, because we've kind of talked about the reason for Taco being formed, but just talk
Mhm.
about what you are striving to do with Taco.
Okay, so we want to support our Christian content creators. We want them to have people around them who understand them and encourage what they're doing and understand their specific challenges, the technical challenges, the burnout, the trolls, the difficulty explaining what you're doing to people and people not getting it, people who know what's going on there. We also want to help them with training to help them like define and refine their mission, because you can't just jump on stream and be like, I'm going to play a game and be a positive presence for Christ for people. And you don't go any further with it, you probably won't get very far, because people will just talk about your game and not talk about Christ. You kind of have to have a little bit more definition to what you're doing, and plan a little bit. So we also teach leadership skills, and our training class is based on the John Maxwell leadership series, but specifically tweaked for content creators. And community building. We teach a lot of community building, how to draw people in, how to support people in your community. We have digital resources for the Christians that we're building up this coming year. We have somebody starting to build a whole database of stuff that's specifically useful for Christian streamers and Christian content creators. And we have an awesome community that will pray with you over whatever you're going through, support you, be there for your subathons and your special charity events. So that's that's how we're working to support Christian content creators, and we're just trying to find out like what else do people need, what would be useful and helpful to build up and encourage those who are out there, whether they're on Twitch or some other live streaming platform, or whether they're on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or wherever they're at.
Yeah. What does Taco stand for again? Because I don't think we mentioned that.
The Alliance for Creative Outreach.
So it's not just a food thing.
No, no. But we like to have fun, and so we wanted a name that had some fun and that reflected that we could run with and have jokes with and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
we have an
It's part of
awesome
the
team
culture.
that worked really hard to come up with a name that fit both and that wasn't already taken.
Yeah, yeah, it does fit. It does fit the Twitch culture. It fits we are serious about our faith, but we're not taking ourselves too seriously, kind
Right.
of thing.
When you
Which,
talk to your pastor, you can say the whole thing, the Alliance for Creative Outreach, and sounds
right,
super
right.
important.
Yes, yes. So one of the things we are trying to do, I don't know if when Jeff might be coming back in here, but we're slotted for about this time. But we have two questions we're trying to ask everybody as we're going through, and you can take a full minute or so to answer each of these. If it's shorter than that, that's fine too. So, can the church exist digitally?
I've seen it exist digitally. It's not just the discipleship, but also the community, also bringing people into Christ. It's weird sometimes, taking communion digitally. Everybody gets their own whatever they've got, but we're taking that the spirit is not limited by our physical location and the physicality of what we're drinking, right? I've seen people do baptisms virtually as well. They're in the room with somebody else, but the pastor who's overseeing it, who knows their faith, it's a declaration of my faith, right? That can happen on screen. So, yes, there's some differences, but when we're in community together, we're discipling one another, and we're coming alongside people and correcting and teaching. It's all the same things that happen in a physical location, minus the
Yeah,
hugs.
yeah, absolutely. The content, the connection, the community, they all lead towards discipleship. Absolutely. Uh, One thing I do want to say before I ask the second question is when we're asking the question or you're mentioning about baptism and communion, we're not telling people their own theology denominationally. You have those things. You might need to work all those things out yourself. So do that with your leadership in your own church, your own setting, and decide those factors for yourself. I know during COVID, we weren't sure about doing those things, and we're like, we're not setting a precedent forever. We're just trying to meet people because Easter's here, and we're going
Mhm.
to do those things. And my denomination's trying to figure out and work those things out. Second
I would
question.
just add, and we
Oh, go
haven't
ahead.
really touched on this, we have people who, for physical reasons or for mental anxiety reasons, aren't going to physically be in a church. So the
Right.
only time they're going to get baptized or take communion is if they can do it digitally. And I don't want to be the one telling them, you can never be baptized. You're not good enough because you won't physically show up at a location and let somebody else touch your body and put water on you, right?
Yeah.
If you want to declare your faith and ask God to make you new, I'm not going to stop you from doing that. So,
Yeah. I know where your heart is. I love that. I love that, and I think we're pretty close in agreement with that. Um, so the second question is: can missions be digital?
they are. They definitely are. Where people are is the mission field, and there are more people who are out there in the gaming world playing video games than there are playing football. And there are football missions, right? We have a chaplain for now. I'm in Florida. We have a chaplain service over at the International Speedway. There are definitely more
Oh, of
people
course.
playing video games than there are driving NASCAR, but we have ministry and missions for NASCAR. So we should have missions and ministries for the digital world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Hey, Jeff, welcome back in.
Hey,
Hey,
Jeff.
hey, taco.
Yeah,
No, excuse me, ukulele. Taco, ukulele. I'm seeing the
I'm
taco
both.
on the shirt. I was like, oh my gosh, no. Ukulele has been part of the community of the Church Digital as a a lurker or somebody on the outsider that just keeps getting more and more involved and more plugged in. Just checking us out, and I'm honored that you would come on this today with us and spend some time talking about this. And I know the opportunity to help people understand how to create better content with what you're doing with Taco is a very cool thing, and not to mention, I love seeing lots and lots of taco emojis. Well, whenever we do things with y'all on Twitch. But just thank you for doing
Thank
what
you for
you're
inviting
doing.
me.
For yeah.